Hey everybody, so I'm in Kansas City and I was here last time and I got to see my good friend Laurent, and I missed one of my other good friends, a local legend, a winner of the Kansas City Wide Open, right?
Yep.
It's a pretty prestigious
Open
list.
Pro once.
I would say, this is the time to not be humble, you were the top disc golfer in Kansas City at stretches. Because you had Crazy, you had Otto, you had Laurent, you guys battled, but there were times
John Eaton.
there were times when you were the best player in the entire city. Fair statement?
People still say, I want to beat CD.
Okay, so
Yeah.
CD, Duane, Steiner, PDGA number.
2883.
Yeah, that's older than me.
You're not that old.
I'm 3140.
Okay.
Yeah, your number's lower than mine. So, man, I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you're still playing. You were out at the Dynamic Discs this weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, and or not this weekend, 2 weeks ago.
A couple of weekends ago. One of those rainy weekends.
How did you wind up?
Tied for 7th after, what, we get 32 holes.
Yeah, after 32 holes.
So, could have been a little better. I love Jones Gold. I mean, it plays to my strength.
Yeah.
I place that first drive, make that longer second shot.
Yeah, Jones Gold was great. That was a treat. So let's go back to the beginning, because most of my old friends, I said old again, most of my old friends were around for the Wild West days of the sport. We are here at its infancy. When did you start playing? That must have been the 70s?
79. I was flipping a Frisbee before I heard of any Frisbee golf stuff.
79. You know the players on tour think the 70s were a myth.
Right.
They don't even think the 70s existed.
I had the mustache and everything.
You did not have the... You had,
sure I did.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I just can't... I can't picture it. So you played in 79. You were playing in Kansas City.
Yes.
Was Swope Park the only course in town then?
Yes, and Rosedale was right behind.
Was it really? I didn't know Rosedale was around that long.
Within a couple of years. I'm not sure the year Rosedale went in, 82 or 3, somewhere right there.
And Swope was right behind it, or right before
Swope was first, yeah.
I thought Swope was one of the mid 70s, but I mean, you know better than me.
I think it went in late 79 or 80.
And okay, now you played disc golf at a time when nobody in Kansas City, other than those 9 players who played disc golf, knew what disc golf was.
Right. People
tell people what that was like. I mean, no one at your work knew what it was. Your parents didn't know what it was. Your non-disc golf friends didn't know what the hell you were doing on your weekends.
Right.
What was that like?
Right. Just like, well, there he goes again. He's driving around the country. I was one of many, I'm sure, that still had an 8-to-5 job.
Right.
And still do. It's like, you plan your week where you maybe get out of work a little early or come in a little late on Monday or both. Luckily that worked out real well.
Did you have, because this was the big rub back in those days, like if you told your boss you needed Friday off to go to a disc golf tournament, they thought you were just making stuff up. Did you have a company that was like behind you, or was it tough?
I did. I was working at a car wash parts warehouse store that is now not too far from here. And I was doing so much for them, and they saw the passion I had for my weekends. They allowed me, I built up some vacation time. I even took some non-paid time off. And as long as the work was done, they were allowing me to work that in. It was great.
That's less common. That's the exception, not the rule back then. People didn't get it.
Right.
And the people that did get it, they thought that everybody was just out here partying. So, tell me, CD, what were people out here doing?
There was a lot of partying.
There was a lot of partying in the early days.
There was.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like the stereotypes back then weren't wrong.
Yeah. But even since then, though, since I started,
right?
Not only were there players that just want to get out and party, but there were players that wanted to be athletes and improve their game.
No,
and at some point, you realize the partying scene ain't what I'm into. I want to make my game better.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about the whole the party crowd is that was not an off stereotype. The off stereotype was that it was bad people. So they weren't wrong about the partying. The misconception was that this was like a bad place where you didn't want your kids to go, or that you didn't want.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it was just people that had 95 jobs that just wanted to wind down off after work.
Exactly.
And they just did it a little differently than others. But it was like the best people in the world, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, so who was the competition out here? Who were the people that you played with? I mean, I know them, but you share.
Well, LaRon got into it up into the 90s, early 90s. Before that, Otto, Kent Spires,
Yeah.
John Heaton,
Yeah, they called him Automatic. Otto's
Crazy
good.
John Brooks. Oh my gosh, it's so many people that
Rothstein when he came out later.
Rick Rothstein. Well, Rick and Lynn had moved from Columbia here.
Right.
We went to many tournaments together, driving in Bertha,
No,
the
you
big
and Rick?
van. Oh yeah, Rick and Lynn, and we would
Wow.
pack a bunch of people. There's some stories.
Yeah, Rick was the editor of our first disc golf magazine. It was Disc Golf World News back then.
Yeah.
It was the best publication in the sport. It was our only source. I mean, that was our internet for disc golf.
Right.
I mean,
I helped Ace Mason with the Disc International Sports Club, which was the precursor to the Kansas City Flying Disc Club. Newsletter and mailings and this sort of stuff. Just he asked me if I want to help him. Yeah, sure. And before you know it, 86-ish, Kansas City Flying Disc Club was born because there was no real
That was 86, okay.
organization besides the Falf course over at Swope with Tom Engel. So we made our club here. Ace and I formed it, and it has grown into Kansas City Disc Golf and an LLC, an incorporated company. With still many volunteers. There's always been so many volunteers.
yeah. Now, you told me something earlier. You said at one point that it was great. Fun and games were wonderful. Come out here, have a good time after work. But then you also at some point figured out that wasn't the best thing for your golf game, and you kind of rethought how you played the game. I would love if you shared that.
Yeah, just build in more of a practice routine. You know, get multiple discs of the ones you like, and learn what they do and what you can do with them. You know, just stay to yourself a little bit more when you need that practice time. And
So a little bit less partying, a little more training?
Yeah, absolutely. I never really considered myself an athlete until I got into my 40s. It's like, look what I'm able to do. I need to take a little better
Wait,
care of myself.
You didn't consider yourself an athlete?
Not so much. I was just out, still having fun, flinging
But
the disc.
you were, so I'm sorry to correct you, but you were a world-class player. I mean, in the 90s, you were high level, top 50 in the world, fair statement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Top 30, and there were probably about 500,000 people playing. If you're in the
Probably
top 30 to 50 out of 500,000, that's pro athlete,
True.
right? I mean, it's just
I agree.
It's high
I agree.
level.
I didn't concentrate that much on my my health, which I was never in bad health, and I'm still not in the best. But now I'm concentrating a
Now you
little
focus
more,
a little more.
especially coming through injuries, broken foot, back injury even this year. It's like you really have to start watching more, and that's catching on with players
Yeah.
that are just
No
finding
doubt.
the game. They're athletes first. The tennis players, that backhand smash, well, there they go. They've got that forehand smash, they've got that.
Right.
So they transfer all
Mm-hmm.
that and keep their health and build stronger, better mechanics, etc.
Yeah, I mean that's the evolution of our sport. I mean, it's if you don't keep up,
Right, absolutely.
you're getting left
Absolutely.
behind. Okay, so now I have to ask, how tall are you?
5'1" and a half.
5'1" and a half. I mean, it's relevant. Well, first off, your name is CD.
5'2".
Your name is Duane, but you go by CD, compact disc with a C. But that's relevant because the taller you are, you got physics on your side.
Agreed.
Two players of different
Absolutely.
heights with identical ability, talent, and skill set. The taller person throws farther with the same effort.
Golf is not all distance. We know
It
that.
is not all distance. So what was your approach? Because did you consider that a hurdle? Like, well, I don't have this, so I got to do other things? Or like, did that factor in, or were you just playing golf?
I was just playing golf, and doing everything I can and learning more and not trying to try too hard, but push yourself just a little above your level, meet your level every tournament, every round, every shot.
So really, it wasn't even a factor for you. It was just the factor was just hitting lines, making putts.
Right. And
Okay.
knowing I'm
Fair.
up against folks with twice the arm span that can seemingly throw twice as far, they've got to work on their technique. And I feel I've pretty much got mine down.
No, it's
So I know people, they get better, etc. Well, I watch them and they push themselves. They begin pushing me, which makes me want to push
Right.
a little harder to keep that level.
okay. Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's always been a thing about. I mean, the thing about golf is distance is a factor.
Absolutely.
Not the only one.
I'm throwing as far as most people in the age 40s, age 50s.
Oh God, yeah.
You
I
know,
saw you at DDO.
whatever division I'm playing.
You smashed at DDO. You still throw over 400.
On good days,
On
yeah,
ish?
yeah.
I mean,
400, 420.
400 feet in MP50.
Got to be downhill with the wind.
400 feet in MP50 is far enough. In the open division, you don't throw far enough, but neither do I.
Right.
So,
Right.
but then again, we're not playing the open
Right.
division.
Not very
next
often.
year.
C tiers, locals.
Yeah, I do that
So-
too. So, that's cool, man. Hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm so glad you came out. Our generation is the last generation pre-social media and internet, and so it's important to me that I document these humans that built our sport as much as possible, because the next generation has 400,000 photographs of them playing disc golf.
Right, right. No, that's great.
We
I
have two- we
really
have
love
two.
it. Seeing the folks that I grew up playing with. I saw Jeff Harper's post.
Oh, isn't that great? Jeff's the best.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, he and I were always neck and
Yeah,
neck,
of course.
pushing each other, and not so much saying I'm going to beat you, as
But
I want to push myself to do better.
But thinking it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I
Well, darn, Jeff just took 2 strokes because of my stupid bogey. No more stupid mistakes.
Jeff was like the most deceiving competitor. Like he was a competitor first.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the sweetest person in the entire world.
Yeah.
And then if you let up for a second, he stomps you into second place. That's what I described
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
And you got to play with all those guys. That's great, man. Sir,
Thank you, Scott.
it's
Good to
really
see
been
you,
an
man.
honor. It's great to see you. I'm going to keep making more of these, and I hope you guys enjoy them, because this is our sports history, and I don't want it lost, and this is one more piece of the historical puzzle that is now
Yeah,
forever.
that's great. That's great.
Thanks,
Can
man.
I add that blizzards fly far?
Blizzards fly far. You may.
Indeed.
You may.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I love you, dude.
Love you too, dude.
Thanks, guys.
That's awesome. Catch. The Berg.
The bird.
They're the Berg.
Perfect.
Those things are amazing.